So Kwame Brown goes number one in the 2001 draft. He goes ahead of Tyson Chandler and Pau Gasol, Eddie Curry, Jason Richardson, Shane Battier. Kwame Brown. What was the profile on Kwame Brown? What was his supposed archetype?
I mean, we've heard, what the idea of what Kwame Brown was supposed to be, one of the better players in high school, 6'10", 245. We heard about the measurables. We've seen the photos from a kid who was supposed to be 17, 18. I can't remember the exact age he was when he came. 18, right? I think he was about 18 or something when he came out, but he looked like a grown man. Everybody was anticipating him, maintaining that, the NBA body. Remember he's got an NBA ready body. Remember that whole thing, the Dwight Howard, whenever they find one, it's a monkey see, monkey do league, excuse the term, but, that's where you hear that term. He's got an NBA ready body, wooty wooty woo, you know what I mean, yada, 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 but then the KDs of the world end up being Hall of Famers. Anyway, there's a lot that goes into this, but the word out on Kwame Brown was 6'10", 245, runs the floor well, probably good touch around the basket, you know what I mean? Yada, yada, yada. His comp would be what? I don't know, fucking Alonzo Mourning? At minimum? You thinking,
Not bad.
and at a most, and a big ceiling, you got a 20 and 10 guy, a lifetime 20 and 10 guy. Who's that, David Robinson? Or something close to that. Those are the type of things like his comp would have been. But like from what I remember is like that's what was that he checked out as supposed to be, if that's what you needed, he was your number one pick.
So Kwame gets drafted in 2001, and he nor the basketball world knows that he's going to be playing with Michael Jordan the next year because Jordan transitions from the front office to the court. And I would argue that I don't know what 38-year-old Michael Jordan might be one of the worst players that an unready high school kid with high expectations could enter the league for. Jordan didn't seem like
Mike ain't showing you no grace.
Mike's not showing you no grace, and there's some stories. So allegedly. What Kwame says is that MJ actually never wanted me on the Wizards from day one. He drafted me to trade me for Elton Brand, but the owner of the Wizards, Abe Poland, blocked the trade. They used to bring old veterans into practice just to have them foul me and beat the crap out of me every day. I had Charles Oakley threatening me to beat me up. I was an 18-year-old kid. So Mike is basically pulling all of his boys out to try and, rough up Kwame. Kwame was calling fouls in practice. MJ called him a flaming F word. You don't get to call a foul call on a goddamn little touch foul. You fucking F word. You don't bring that fucking shit in here. Get your goddamn ass back on the floor and play. I don't want to hear that fucking shit out of you again. Get your little ass back and play, you F word. MJ
and so
yelled
on
at
and
him.
so forth and so forth. So on and so forth from the GOAT. So on and so forth. So on and so forth from the GOAT. That's a mouthful. You know what I mean? And that's a lot to stomach from, the culture logo. There's the logo on the sock, and then there's the logo within the culture and for basketball players. So, Mike did him dirty.
Mike did him dirty. The team outside of that wasn't very good. Mike was putting up numbers, but this is just the first chapter in his kind of horrific stretch as a GM. So after the 2003 season, when MJ hangs his shoes up and wants to go back to the front office, he kind of expects that he can just kind of go back and that he's Michael Jordan and it's the Washington Wizards and they'll let him do that. But when he meets with the owner, Abe Poland, after the season,
Abe ain't going.
Abe ain't going. This is an excerpt from Abe's widow. After many carefully thought out meetings with senior staff and lawyers, Abe agreed to meet with Michael in his office. Knowing that this would be a difficult meeting, his advisor suggested that he tell Michael that he had decided to go in a different direction.
That's what they tell you.
They felt after reviewing his performance, they had no choice. It was not personal. They all liked and admired Michael, but it was purely business. This
That's
was
what they hit you with when you get cut. He ain't never experienced getting cut. That's the age. That's the line for me when you get cut.
This is Mike getting cut. It was not personal. They all liked and admired Michael. What followed was a heated discussion of what had and had not been promised. But after Abe repeated his decision to go in a different direction, Michael lost it. He became very angry and began shouting. At that point, Abe walked out of the room and Michael called him several unflattering names. Michael stormed out of the room, went down to the parking garage, jumped in his Mercedes convertible with an Illinois license plate, took the top down, and drove directly back to Chicago from Washington, D.C. So yeah, Michael Jordan got cut. That's cold. By Honest Abe Pollin. Have you ever wondered if Chet Holmgren might be a descendant of Abraham Lincoln, or if a UFC fighter could beat an alien in a fight? You might have not, and that's okay. But Shea Serrano and Jason Concepcion from Six Trophies podcast have. If you love basketball, and more importantly, if you love fun, you gotta listen to Six Trophies, where Shea and Jason serve up the biggest moments from around the NBA with their brand of unbridled joy, banter, and pop culture side quests. Each week, they hand out 6 pop culture themed trophies for 6 basketball related activities. Stuff like the Denzel Washington and Training Day trophy, given out to the player or team having the best week around the NBA. Or the Lauryn Hill You Might Win Some, But You Just Lost One trophy for the team or player that just can't get it together. Plus, a bunch more trophies for all the good, bad, or just plain head-scratching moments around the NBA. This playoff season, you'll want to make Six Trophies your go-to companion podcast. Follow Six Trophies on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. Listen ad-free right now by joining Wondery Plus.